the president.
All right, guys, stay with me. We're going to turn back to that breaking news that we were talking about out of Afghanistan. And for that, I want to go to our Pentagon producer, Courtney Cubey, for the very latest. Courtney, what are you hearing?
Hey, Kristen. Well, so this was, we believe this was the first time that the U.S. military has ever dropped this bomb on the battlefield. It's a 21,000-pound bomb. They dropped it in eastern Afghanistan in Nangarhar province. This has been a problem area for the U.S. military for some time with ISIS. There is an ISIS presence in Afghanistan. They're known as ISIS Khorasan province. And U.S. military officials I spoke with earlier said that this strike was significant. There was a large contingent of ISIS fighters and potentially leaders who were there at the time where the U.S. struck with this bomb, with this massive bomb. And of course, Afghanistan's been in the news just recently. A U.S. military Special Operations Forces soldier was killed there recently as part of this ISIS fight.
Courtney, it sounds like what you're saying at this point, the Pentagon is telling you they had a very specific target and they hit that target. Is that your understanding? And at this point, any sense of whether there were any civilian casualties?
We don't know that yet. We don't have any real good battle damage assessment yet. We don't know how many ISIS fighters may have been killed or any other potential civilian casualties. This all just happened several hours ago. That kind of information will often take, sometimes even days to come out to get accurate information. ISIS has been a problem in this area. This is not the end. This isn't the beginning or the end of the fight of ISIS in eastern Afghanistan. When I was there with General Nicholson several months ago, he talked about that concern. He talked about how there was a growing presence there in eastern Afghanistan, and that was something that the U.S. military was going to have to address.
Courtney, we are awaiting the daily press briefing by Press Secretary Sean Spicer. He's obviously going to get peppered with a lot of questions about this at the top of his briefing. I'm curious, though, what are the key questions that you are looking for at this point that you'd like to see answered in terms of this attack?
So one thing that's curious to me is, the U.S. military has this enormous arsenal of munitions available to it at any time. Why did they choose this enormous, a 21,000-pound bomb? Now, we know that what they struck was some sort of a tunnel complex. So did that have something to do with it? Was it some kind of a large but more conventional munition dropped on the surface would not have been able to penetrate down and take out the target? That's, like I said, this is all relatively early. We just started getting word of this within the past hour or so. So we don't have answers to that. I would love to know what Sean Spicer and the U.S. military have to say about that.
To underscore that point you're making, Courtney, you say this is the first time this has been used, correct?
As far as we know, it's been tested numerous times. As far as we know, though, on the battlefield, certainly in Afghanistan, but this is the first time that we know of that it's been used.
Okay, and I want to turn back to our panel. Courtney, thank you for all of that great reporting. Nick,